as earlier broadcast, some schools in Windhoek have temporarily suspended classes after recording positive COVID-19 cases. To hear what the Namibia National Teachers Union stance is on the increase of COVID cases at schools and how the government is handling it, we're joined on the line by NANTU Secretary General Loide Shaanika. A very good afternoon to you, Loide, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
All right. Now, Loide, as teachers, to what do you attribute the rise in numbers of COVID-19 cases at schools?
Yes, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for this discussion on the situation on COVID-19, that on the cases that are just rising in our country. I should say the situation as of now really requires a greater cooperation amongst all of us. That includes the school communities. So I would say in the first questions that you ask is that what really attributes to the situation at the school at this given time, we know it's winter and it has been proven that the virus peaks more or is more active in cold weather. And we want to assume probably that is the most contributing factor. But other than that, would also want to think the school gathering, the gathering in the schools is beyond the regulated number. You know, in the public, the number is restricted to only 50. But if you look to our schools, they have more than 100 to 1,500, members in the school community. So the very same people that we are trying to regulate in the public are the very same people that we see in our schools, universities, colleges, and you mentioned that. So I think there is really a way that we need to look at what should be done in terms of, re-looking at the situation of our schools in terms of that issue of gathering. Yeah. And also, what we have observed is the issue of the health regulations that are not possible to maintain in our school environment. Talk about social distancing. You often when you go to schools, you see learners are playing in groups, and most of them, they also do not have, sometimes they do not have their mask on. It's very difficult for the teachers to control the wearing of masks at all time by our learners. And also some schools also lack some personal protective equipment, let alone the health and safety, essentials, sanitizers, disinfectant. And in as much as we want to ensure that every learner has its own mask, it becomes very difficult to be controlled by our teachers. So I think immediate action needs to be taken by the authority on possible cases also that are being, observed at school level. Sometimes there's no appropriate immediate attention or action taken by the authorities. You see sometimes the case is reporting for a possible case, but it takes longer for the authority to attend to such cases.
Talking about the authority, how is your relationship in terms of fighting COVID-19 with the government? Have you given suggestions? How have they been accepting some of the advice that you have been giving them as a union?
Yeah, you could remember last year we had a back to school campaign, a joint campaign with NANTU. And where we really were to observe the health and safety protocols and adherence to those protocols in schools. There have been a very good, working relationship between ourselves and the Ministry of Education in terms of compliance and as well supplying the health and safety materials to schools. As of recent, we have also established the Regional Health Task Force, where our regional coordinators of NANTU are members of the Regional Health Task Force in each and every region, to make sure that compliance is maintained and schools are being supplied with all the necessary health and safety essentials that they might need. So the committee, we are hoping that these committees will be cascaded down to the school level, so that at least immediate action is taken and immediate, assistance is provided to schools when they are so needed in terms of the cases that might be picked up at the school level.
Yeah, now, Loide, the vaccinations are available now in Namibia, and there are obviously mixed feelings about getting vaccinated or not getting vaccinated. Different people have different reasons for that. But the Ministry of Education recently recently encouraged teachers to get vaccinated. What has been the discussion with your members regarding that? And can you say they are forthcoming?
Yes. I should really applaud the initiative from the Ministry of Education. Equally, NANTU, we wrote to the ministry last week to run a joint national campaign for vaccination among our school communities, learners, teachers, and the support staff. Because we really believe that that's the only tool to suppress the spread of this pandemic in our school communities. So what we did is that we have joined hands with NANSO, UNICEF, Ministry of Education, and ourselves, Ministry of Health and Social Services, where we initiated to run a vigorous national campaign in all 14 regions, where we are, and we want to have this campaign on as of the week of the 25th of June to get everyone vaccinated. We are aware of some conspiracies and uncertainties about the vaccine amongst our own, population or our own people in the society. And the reason why we have the Ministry of Health and Social Services on board is actually to make sure that all those conspiracies and uncertainties about the vaccine is cleared up. All what we think is that we encourage all our members to get vaccinated, or all our teachers to get vaccinated, the learners, the parents, and the support staff, because we really believe that with this vaccination, it is one way to suppress the spread of this pandemic to the next person. Mm-hmm. And the campaign, the day for the vaccination, we have set ourselves to be on the 24th and on the 25th of June. We are also setting to launch the campaign on the 24th of June, 2021. But in the meantime, we are busy running the advocacy in all the media, the radio, television, and all printed media, and it will be in all vernaculars. It's just to put the message across in motivating our school communities to come for this vaccination.
All right. Lastly, Loide, what were the lessons that you can say were learned from last year's lockdown when schools were closed and online teaching was the mode of study then?
Yeah, last year was we coped with very difficulties because when the spread of the virus, when the virus was confirmed, and the state of emergency was declared, we had little knowledge of how do we go about this virus, but which actually also led to the closure of schools, which had a severe impact on the teaching and learning, and it really disrupted teaching and learning in all the schools. The last year, the situation forced the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture to rationalize the curriculum. That means learners, the content of the subjects were reviewed. They coming specific to the online teaching and learning, it was not so much effective in majority of the schools due to the lack of the ICT, equipment, infrastructures in our schools, let alone connectivity. But what really impacts more is because of the would say the socioeconomic disparities within our school communities. Mm-hmm. There are parents who were able to afford to acquire, cell phones or whatever devices for their children, but the majority could not do so. So I would say that online teaching was not really effective, particularly in most of our rural schools. Therefore, despite that, we just want to thank our teachers and the school communities for their dedication and effort they have put through, as we managed to navigate through all these challenges of last year and successfully completed the 2020-2021 academic. You could see last year it was go back to school, close the schools, and it was on and off, just like that. But we really just want to appreciate the effort by the ministry, by the government to provide all those health and safety gears, but most of all, we want to thank our teachers and the entire school communities for their
right, Loide.
education in that regard.
Loide, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you, the union, and everybody else that's involved in making teaching and learning possible in the most healthiest of environments possible. All the best.
Thank you so much.